of a series called Better. And somebody said this morning as we were looking forward, is my sermon going to be better still next week? So it's getting kind of funny, we start playing these, and I hope every week it's a little better for you. But we're looking at different verses in the Bible that have the word better in it. And how many of you, let me ask you this kind of important question this morning, how many of you have a really important decision to make right now at this point in your life? A couple of you, I see a couple hands, good. How many of you have ever made important decisions in your life? Probably all of us, yes. And different seasons of our lives, we have different decisions to make, right? When you graduated high school, you had to decide, am I just going to go get a job or am I going to go to college? When you got to college, what am I going to major in? How much time am I going to spend here? Am I going to cram 6 years into 4? Am I going to cram 4 years into 6? Who am I going to marry? Should I marry this person? And if we do get married, where are we going to live? Are we going to rent a house or are we going to buy a house? And on, we make these decisions. Are we going to have a pet? And if we're going to have a pet, should I get a dog or should I get a cat? Go with the dog. I'm a dog person, by the way. And then on, we make all these different decisions throughout our lives, and they're very important to us. Am I going to eat at White House Chicken today or Pepe Luigi's? Very important decisions to make. I'm a very big Pepe Luigi's fan, so love the pizza. I think it's the best in town. Anyway, these are all very important decisions. I'm going to give you our key thought this morning, and if you're taking notes, I hope you are. You'll find an outline in your bulletins. You can fill in the blanks. I encourage you to take notes, take these home, study them, do what you want with them, but hopefully it kind of helps as we go along as reminders of what God is trying to teach us today. Here's our key thought. Write this down in your notes. Our key thought for today is this. We make our decisions, and our decisions make us. We make our decisions, and our decisions make us. Remember what we learned in our last series together, who you are. And the stories that you tell today are a result of the decisions that you made yesterday and the day before that and in your past. And who we're going to be in the future, who we will tell, the stories that we will tell in the future is going to be based on the decisions that we make today. So our decisions make us. We make our decisions right now, and the decisions that we're making today are going to make us in the future. So we're going to be looking today at a better way to honor God with our decisions. As we make decisions, how will they honor God? I want to start with a story from the Old Testament about a man named King Solomon. Some of you know Solomon, and you can follow the story in your Bibles in 2 Chronicles chapter 1. So if you have your Bibles, you can turn to 2 Chronicles chapter 1. Now, King Solomon, was just anointed king over Israel. And it was customary of the Israelites, when somebody became a king, the king would go to the temple or wherever that was. It was after Solomon. So in Solomon's time, he would go to a place and they would offer sacrifice, an animal sacrifice to God, to honor God, to worship God because of their anointing as king over Israel. So Solomon fulfills his kingly duty and he goes to sacrifice an animal sacrifice to God as an act of worship. However, Solomon doesn't just sacrifice one animal. In fact, he doesn't sacrifice just 5 or 10 or even 100 animals. Get this, you can see this in 1 Chronicles chapter 1. Solomon goes and sacrifices 1,000 sacrifices to God as an act of worship, as an act of honoring God. I often wonder, how long must that have taken for Solomon to do that? We kind of watch our watches here in church, and it's like almost 5 till 11 now, and hopefully we're in and out in an hour, right? and we value our time. Now Solomon, I can't imagine that had to take all day to offer 1,000 sacrifices. Well, Solomon gets finished sacrifices, and that night, God appears to Solomon. This is cool. God appears to Solomon, and basically, I don't know, maybe God was impressed by the sacrifices that Solomon made that day. I'm not sure. Anyway, God appears to Solomon, and he says, Solomon, I'm going to give you whatever you ask for. How cool is that? That's like finding the lamp on the beach, right? And you rub the lamp, and a genie pops out, and you've got 3 wishes, right? I'll give you anything you want, Solomon. Just ask for it, and it's yours. Now, what would you ask for? What would you ask for? Now, if you're like my kids, you probably ask for more wishes, right? That's what we did, right? I mean, I only get one, well, I want 4 more wishes, or I want 10 more, I want 100 more. Anyway, what would you ask for? Money, power, fame? Some of you are single, a wife, a husband. What would you ask for? I want you to turn to your neighbor right now. Tell them what you would ask for. What would you ask God for? Go ahead, do it. I'm hammering something. Go. What would you ask for? Somebody's giving you anything you want. What would it be? Awesome. I didn't hear anything. This is what God did with Solomon. Now, some of you, if you know the story, you probably gave a Sunday school answer. You probably said what Solomon asked for. That's okay. I'm a little more selfish, and I probably would ask for, I don't know, maybe more money. I don't know. Anyway, Solomon says to God, what? Give me wisdom. Give me wisdom. Go to 2 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 10. 2 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 10 says this. Solomon says, give me wisdom and knowledge. Why? That I may lead this people. For who is able to govern this great people of yours? I think Solomon knew the history of Israel, how stubborn they could be, and he needed a lot of wisdom to govern these people. God comes to Solomon and says, anything you want, Solomon. And Solomon says, give me wisdom. What? Come on, Solomon. Be a little more creative here. What about money? What about power? What about fame? What about having the most beautiful girl on the earth? Give me her, God. How about a big house? How about lots of land? No. Solomon wants wisdom. Give me a break. Check out God's response. In verses 11 and 12, again, I think God is impressed by what Solomon has asked for. First of all, he gives him 1,000 animal sacrifices, and God says, anything you want. And then Solomon says, give me wisdom. Well, here's what God says. Since this is your heart's desire, and you have not asked for wealth, riches, or honor, nor the death of your enemies. Hey, I never thought about that one. Nor the death of your enemies. And since you have not asked for a long life, but for wisdom and knowledge to govern my people, over whom I have made you king. God says this, therefore, wisdom and knowledge will be given you, period. No, God goes on. This is so cool. He says, I will also give you wealth, riches, and honor, such as no king who was before you ever had, and none after you will have. So God gives Solomon wisdom. God gives Solomon wisdom. How cool is that? And not only that, he's so impressed with Solomon's reply that he says, I'm going to go ahead and give you the wealth, riches, and honor, and fame. You're going to have it. As you look through your Bibles, you see that Solomon wrote more about wisdom than any other writer in the Bible. All right? And you can go from cover to cover, and you can find his writings. You can find his thoughts. You can find Solomon's actions in his wisdom. 1 Kings, 2 Chronicles, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. Solomon's in all of these. And over and over again, we find that Solomon says that wisdom is better than anything. Wisdom is better than anything. Check out Proverbs 16:16. In this passage, King Solomon puts a pretty huge value on wisdom. Let's take a look. Proverbs 16:16. Solomon says, how much better to get wisdom than what? Gold. To choose understanding rather than silver and gold. What? Now this is a pretty big deal. Think about this. Gold was pretty valuable in Solomon's day, and the guy had a lot of it. As you read throughout the book of 1 Kings and 2 Chronicles, you see, Solomon creates his whole palace out of gold. He builds the temple out of gold, and he's got a lot of gold, and people are giving him gold. He knows how valuable gold is. Gold is wealth. Gold means power. Gold means prestige. Right? And it's no different today. Gold is the same thing. Wealth, power, prestige. If you've got gold, you've got power. You've got prestige. You've got wealth. And Solomon says, how much better to get wisdom than to get the most valuable thing that everybody else wants on earth. And Solomon didn't stop there. He takes the second most valuable commodity, and that's silver, and he says, choose understanding rather than silver. What? No way. Let me ask you this. Do you have a hunger, an absolute hunger to get wisdom? I don't know that I do. This one's a tough one for me, probably for a lot of people, because for a lot of us, I think we think if we just had a little bit more money, things would be okay. Our lives might be better, you know? Man, if I could just win the lottery, right? If someone in my family, if I could receive a large inheritance from my rich uncle, you know, if I could come into some money somehow, then all my problems, they could go away and I'd be okay. In fact, if I had enough money, I could probably help a little more people with that money. Or I could give more money to the church. You know, we play this game of if I had more money, then I could do this and things would be great. Life would be solved. But Solomon, the wisest person to ever live on this earth, says money isn't the answer. Money's not the answer. Money's not the answer. Wisdom is better than gold. Understanding is better than silver. And I want you to get this right here. If you get wisdom today, and you make your decisions not based on the wisdom of this world, which Solomon calls foolishness. But if you make decisions based on the wisdom from the heart of God, over a period of years and decades, you can go from an average, mundane life to someone who is impacting generation after generation for the glory of God. Do you hunger for wisdom? Now, some of you know that your marriage isn't going very well right now, and you know you're in trouble. What do you need? You need relational wisdom. Some of you may be messed up financially, and you're sinking. You barely pay your bills. There's too much month at the end of your money, right? What do you need? Financial wisdom. You're trying to make decisions about where to go to school, when to get married, what to do. Should I put my mom in a nursing home? What do you need? You need wisdom. Wisdom that God can help you make the right and wise decision. You've got teenagers. What do you need? Straitjacket. No, you need wisdom. You need wisdom. Get wisdom. Listen to what Solomon says in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. Solomon says this, wisdom is supreme. Therefore get wisdom. Now this is tough. Though it costs all you have, get understanding. Though it costs all you have. Now I remember when I graduated high school, I was getting ready to graduate. The guidance counselors, they call you to the office and say, okay, take this test and see what you're gifted to do in life, and you take the test and everything. And every time, every student got the same speech. What you need to do is go to college. And they would say this: don't worry about how much it's going to cost you. If you've got to take a loan out, if you've got to go out and beg on the street corners to get the money to go to college, do it. Though it costs everything you have, go to college. Think about that. Solomon's saying the same exact thing right here. Though it costs everything you have, go and get wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Solomon knows how valuable wisdom is. It might cost you money. It might cost you time. It might cost you your street cred. We don't want to ruin that. You know what I mean? Is people might make fun of you because you're going after wisdom rather than gold and silver and all these worldly things like we talked about last week, things that are just chasing the wind. But Solomon says it doesn't matter. Go after it. It'll transform your life. Now, if you read Solomon's writings, you'll notice that he contrasts foolish people against wise people. Right? He basically says, don't be a fool. Insert Mr. T line here. Anybody remember Mr. P? I pity the fool, right? That's what Solomon's saying. I pity the fool that don't go after wisdom. That's what he's saying. So Solomon goes on. I want to give you a few characteristics of a fool based on Solomon's writings, so that maybe we can gain an understanding of ourselves in light of wisdom. All right. Now, the first characteristic of a fool. I want to go through these pretty quickly. Okay. 4 of them. First characteristic of fools is that fools act before they think. Anybody ever do that? A few of you are laughing. You've been there. Fools act before they think. I was in college. I hate telling stories on myself because you guys are going to come and say I've done it. Anyway, I was in college. My friends and I decided to go camping recently. And we had this perfect place set out. We were going to be in this mouth of this cave, right next to a stream in the woods, very secluded. Nobody knew we were going to be there. It was going to be a great time. Was going to be a great time. Phrase. What's the first thing you do? One of the first things you do when you get to your campsite? Yeah, set up your tent, kind of get things organized. Me, I don't care about the tent. My first goal when I get to the campsite, let's build a fire. Why? Because I want to eat. I like to eat, I'm sorry. So I build a campfire, we get it going, blazing fire. And night settles in, and there we were all gathered around this campfire. It was a gorgeous night, stars in the sky. We were just having a good time. We're in this mouth of this cave. And we're sitting there, and my friend turns to me and he says, here. It was an aerosol can. Some of you know where this is going. He hands me this aerosol can, and he says, I dare you to throw that into the fire. What did I do? I didn't think about it. Whoop! Throw it in the fire. You know those things, not only do they explode, but it's very loud and it's very destructive. Alright? I threw it in the fire, boom! The fire goes completely out. It's gone because of the explosion. Alright? Not only that, tents got burned, sleeping bags got singed, and my friends got angry. Alright? Camping was over at that point. We were done. And I had no idea. I acted before I thought. I had no idea what that was going to do. Listen to what Solomon says in Proverbs 13:16. He says this, wise people think before they act. Fools don't. You can call me a fool. Fools don't, and even brag about their foolishness. Trust me, we bragged about that. It was pretty cool. But don't. Stupid. Don't do that. Kids, don't try this at home, okay? Or in your backyard or wherever. I did it without thinking. I'll give you the second characteristic of a fool, and it's this. Fools spend all they earn. Fools spend all they earn. Remember as a kid, when you got some money from something, maybe you have an allowance, maybe you went out and mowed grass, or you shoveled snow in the wintertime, and you came into some money. What was the first thing you did with that money? Well, I put it in a piggy bank. No, you didn't. You ran off to the local corner store like I did, did. And I bought all the candy and gum that I could get my hands on and afford with that money. I was a fool. Man, if I could have saved the money that I blew on candy and gum and stupid garbage pail kid cards, I don't know if you remember those or not, I wasted my money on a bunch of stuff. Why? Because I was a fool. I spent all I earned. Proverbs 21:20 says this, "In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil. But a foolish man, he devours it all. He eats it all. He spends it all on stupid stuff." Number 3, next. The fools hurt those they love. Fools hurt those they love. Now this is a tough one. I don't think we intentionally set out to hurt people around us. I think we all have good intentions. At least that's what my naive mind would like to think. I don't set out to intentionally hurt people. But fools, sometimes we get foolish in our actions. And the people that we hurt are the ones that are closest to us, unfortunately. Why? Usually it's because we're acting foolish. Proverbs 14:1 says, "A wise woman builds her home, but a foolish woman tears it down with her own hands." I often wonder what Solomon meant by this, but it makes sense if you think about it. The foolish woman belittles her family. The foolish woman nags her husband. No elbows, guys. No elbows, guys. Don't be. All right. The foolish woman belittles her family. She nags her husband. The foolish man is domineering over his wife. He's too quick to get angry with his children. No elbows, women. All right. The foolish people, they're the ones that tear down and hurt the ones they love. Because they don't think before they act. Let me give you the last one. Fourthly, fools think they know it all. This is probably the one that gets on me the most, I think. Fools think they know it all. They're the ones that you get most annoyed with, right? You know what I'm talking about. No matter what you say or what you do, they're the ones that have an opinion about it, and it's only their opinion that really matters, and that's right. So they're the ones that they point out everything you're doing wrong. They're the ones that go on and on and on and on and on about their experiences, and all you want to do is duct tape their mouths shut. Right?